good Wednesday morning. We're following some breaking news this morning.
An officer-involved shooting in Phoenix sends one person to the hospital, lands another behind bars. Gibby Pata is live out at the scene and joins us with the details. Good morning, Gib.
Good morning, Javier. Yeah, and those two started out earlier last night, probably around 10 o'clock, and it started with this vehicle you're going to see here in just a moment. You see the headlights there. They took that car by force. After they took that car by force, they went over to a parking lot near 35th Avenue and Peoria. That's where they robbed another person. By that time, they had called the officers. Phoenix PD got involved. They then led them here to 35th Avenue and Glendale. That car tried to maneuver out of the way, was rolling at a high rate of speed, going into that retaining wall. The woman who was there out of the couple was then arrested and taken into custody. The male fled from the scene here, ran. He had brandished a firearm. He had then threatened the officers with the officers. Then I believe it was one officer who shot back, shot him in his lower extremities, lower part of his body. It's not known what part yet, but he was taken to a local hospital, as you mentioned, with non-life-threatening injuries. The investigators have been out here ever since, Javier, and as you would know, anytime an officer is involved in a shooting, they got to come out here and figure out what led to this, how many shots were fired, and who these people were. They have not released any names yet, but as we mentioned, that male is in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the female was taken into custody.
Yeah, typically they'll be out there for some hours trying to figure this all out, but it sounds like a pretty crazy scene. Thanks, Skip.
All right, well, speaking of crazy, let's talk about our warm weather yesterday.
Again.
97 yesterday. Can you believe it? Well, I can, because that's what we forecasted, but
right on.
Finally,
Props
yeah,
to you.
Yeah, I'm not really all that proud.
Yeah.
All right, here's the deal. We're going to be slightly cooler today, but we're going to continue that trend and continue to cool down just a bit every day for the next couple of days until we get to the weekend. 67 this morning at Scottsdale, 74 at Tempe, and 74 downtown. Low 60s in outlying areas like Peoria, 63, 62 at Surprise, and 60 at Apache Junction. It is nice and cool out there, but we're going to warm it up again today. 77 by 9 o'clock, 90 by lunchtime today, and a high of about 95 degrees. Your full forecast, including a look ahead at that weekend. And we can officially do that now that it's Wednesday, right? Halfway through the work week.
We're on our way down. We're on the down slope.
Yes, ticking down. I love it. Love it, guys. Hey, you know what? We're looking good out there on our roadways this morning, although we do have some construction. The Loop 101, for those of you who drive on the north and the west side of town, you know all about this construction. But you know what? Rest assured, within the next few weeks, it's all going to be done. You'll have HOV lanes in both directions. But right now, the southbound side there of the Loop 101, this is at Northern. You can see the right lane is blocked right now by those construction barriers. The crews out there, they're already picking them up, should have them up in the next half hour.
Thank you, Gina. Well, just some sad news to report this morning. A Phoenix family is grieving after their soldier was killed in Afghanistan.
Army Specialist Michael Elm died Friday in fighting along the Afghan border with Pakistan. Elm was part of the 1st Infantry Division. The Pentagon says his unit was attacked by insurgents using an improvised explosive device. The 25-year-old was a graduate of Greenway High School. We have some pictures that you're seeing there from Elm's Facebook page where tributes to him are pouring in. A memorial for Elm is scheduled for this Sunday in Mesa. Well, it has now been more than a week since a 5-year-old girl vanished from her Glendale home. And now for the first time, we're hearing her mother's 911 call for help.
911, what is your emergency?
Thank you. Hello. I need an officer at my house. I can't find my daughter.
Jesse Shockley has been missing since last Tuesday evening, and investigators say they have no solid leads. Officers spent yesterday afternoon recanvassing the area near 45th Avenue in Glendale. Shockley's grandmother says she'd like to see the search expanded far beyond that neighborhood. The family says they plan to go to City Hall today and ask officials to put more resources into the search.
It was Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio's turn to testify at a disciplinary hearing for former County Attorney Andrew Thomas, but as it turns out, he didn't remember much.
And I'm not sure. I don't recall. As I mentioned, I'm not sure. I don't recall. Once again.
Over and over, Sheriff Arpaio said he didn't recall the details of a wide-ranging 2009 county corruption investigation. Back then, his deputies arrested a Maricopa County supervisor, charged a judge, and indicted several other county officials. In the end, all those charges were dropped. Arpaio claimed he took a hands-off approach to the investigation and said he was not aware of any wrongdoing by Thomas. The former county attorney is accused of using his office to retaliate against political enemies. Thomas is set to testify sometime next week. He faces disbarment. In Mesa, parents and students were heated last night over plans to close 2 middle schools. They joined hundreds to voice their frustration at Brimhall Junior High School. That school is on the chopping block and might be turned into an elementary school.
I know that you are trying to save money, but you will be breaking the spirit of the 7th grade class.
Repurposing Brimhall would create a huge void for a junior high in this area and could negatively impact our already depressed property values.
The other school on the chopping block is Mesa Junior High, which could be demolished altogether. A decision could be made as early as November 8th.
The race for the Republican presidential nomination continues to heat up. In Las Vegas last night, 7 GOP hopefuls squared off for a debate, but it turned out more like a fight. Most of the night was filled with tense exchanges between Texas Governor Rick Perry and former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. Perry accused Romney of hiring illegal immigrants for his lawn service, and things quickly went downhill from there.
I don't think I've ever hired an illegal in my life. And so I'm afraid, I'm looking forward to finding your facts on that, because that just doesn't.
I'll tell you what the facts are.
Rick, again.
You had them.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
The newspaper.
I'm speaking.
It's time for you to tell the truth.
You get 30 seconds.
Time for you
this
to
is
tell
the way the rules
Mitt.
work here. Is that I get 60 seconds.
Well, no, but the American
and then you get 30 seconds to respond, right?
And they want
Anderson?
to hear.
Well, the candidates also picked apart Georgia businessman Herman Cain's 999 tax plan, saying it would increase taxes on low-income citizens. Cain responded by inviting Americans to, quote, do the math. Well, there was a familiar face in that crowd. Governor Jan Brewer attended the debate and said it's important to see where the candidates stand on issues that will impact Arizona. Brewer's spokesman said the trip was at the invitation of CNN. The news network has also agreed to televise a Republican debate here in Arizona that is set for December 1st. And a chance for you to see one of the candidates in person today. Newt Gingrich will be in Phoenix for a town hall meeting this evening. Doors at the Radisson Phoenix City Center will open at 6. The event starts at 7. It is free and open to the public.
In court today, jury selection for the man suspected of killing a missing Chandler woman. Rick Valentini is charged with the murder of his former girlfriend, Jamie Leidy. According to prosecutors, Valentini used her car and credit card after she disappeared last year. Leidy is presumed dead, and detectives believe Valentini is responsible. He's already been convicted on forgery and identity theft charges. The fate of the man accused of being the baseline killer is now in the hands of the jury. 47-year-old Mark Ado is facing 72 felony charges for a crime spree that terrorized the valley for more than a year. 9 people were killed. Yesterday, his defense made closing arguments, arguing detectives got the wrong guy. Godot has pleaded not guilty. If convicted, he faces the death penalty. And a Chandler father who burned his son's hand has been sentenced to probation. Johnny Salazar, seen right here, received 15 years probation. Also, he will need approval for any future visits with his children. In July, Salazar took a lighter to his son's hand after the 5-year-old touched his Bible. Salazar told police he thought the boy was possessed. Salazar was allegedly high on bath salts at the time.
A volunteer at Big Brothers Big Sisters is being held without bail this morning, accused of molesting a 6-year-old boy. And police say there may be more victims out there. 32-year-old Ali Chitzes was arrested on Monday. Police say Chitzes met the victim's mother on Match.com. According to investigators, Chitzes molested the boy multiple times since July. Officers say they obtained evidence from Chitzes' home in Scottsdale to support those allegations. Any parents with children who may have had contact with him should contact police. Armed, dangerous, and on the run. That's how police are describing this man accused of robbing and sexually assaulting a Valley store clerk yesterday afternoon. It happened at the Pleasure Palace at 16th Street and Van Buren. Police say the man held the clerk at gunpoint and then pushed her across the counter and assaulted her. Anyone with information on the suspect is asked to call Phoenix Police.
Well, an unusual arrest to say the least. And let me tell you, this has all the ladies talking in the newsroom. A Chandler man is behind bars after he licked a woman's knee. Yeah, according to police, 43-year-old Martin Soto, seen right here, and 2 other men saw a woman fall down and scrape her knee outside the Intel plant in Chandler. They helped her up, and then 2 men left. Soto apparently stayed behind and followed that woman to her car. That's when police say he asked to see her knee once again and licked it. And when she backed off, police say he then lunged at her and licked her face. The woman managed to slam that car door and drive away. Soto is now facing charges of assault and disorderly conduct. Again, wow, just an unusual story altogether.
Probably one of the most bizarre I've heard.
I'd say, yeah. Everybody's like, he licked what? And I mean, when you think about it, she was scraped up, and so I don't know.
It's a bit gross and bizarre.
We can't explain it. Well, coming up on Good Morning Arizona, lions, tigers, and bears. We're not talking about people visiting the zoo. We're talking about the zoo visiting the people. We'll tell you about the hunt that is underway in Ohio right now.
All right, plus Apple stores everywhere closing temporarily today in honor of Steve Jobs. Details on the memorial.
.444, kicking off the CNN headlines. Residents in a small eastern Ohio town are being told to stay inside this morning because dangerous wildlife animals are on the loose. About 48 exotic animals, including bears, lions, tigers, and cheetahs, escaped from a preserve yesterday. Police say the fences were unsecured after the owner of that farm was found dead. At least 4 school districts are now closed as authorities armed with shotguns patrol that area. About 2 dozen of the animals have already been shot and killed. Testimony will resume today in the manslaughter trial of Dr. Conrad Murray. He was the doctor of the late Michael Jackson, now accused in his death. The case was put on hold Monday after the father of one of the witnesses died. Today, jurors are expected to hear more about the powerful anesthetic propofol that authorities say killed the king of pop. Murray has pleaded not guilty. And tonight is Game 1 of the World Series in St. Louis. Yesterday, workers at Busch Stadium put the finishing touches on the field. But if you have a ticket, well, folks are being asked to arrive at least an hour earlier than normal because Michelle Obama and Jill Biden will be in attendance. So, as you might imagine, security will be extra tight. It's the Rangers versus the Cardinals. The Rangers are playing in their 2nd straight World Series and looking for their 1st ever title, while the Cards are aiming to take their 11th trophy and 2nd championship in 5 years.
Now, your 3TV weather.
That's another nice and cool morning out there, but we've got some changes to tell you about in terms of those afternoon high temperatures. They have been pretty high recently, considering it is almost late October. 73 degrees your current temperature, winds out of the east at 6 miles an hour. Relative humidity this morning is at 17%. It's 67 right now at Scottsdale and nice and cool at Surprise, 61, 62 at Peoria, and just 60 at Avondale. We've got some upper 50s now out in AJ and 57 at Maricopa, 74 degrees downtown. Across the state this morning, wow, chilly in the high country, 28 right now at Flagstaff and 33 at the Grand Canyon. A couple degrees above freezing as well at St. John's. We've got low 60s in Globe and upper 60s to start your day in Yuma. Satellite and radar shows our same weather pattern. It's a ridge of high pressure, but we're going to watch as a big area of low pressure pushes by to our north today. And as that happens today and into tomorrow, our ridge of high pressure is going to have to flatten out a little bit as that system passes by, and that's going to bring our temperatures down just a couple of degrees. They're still going to be above average for this time of year. Typically would be in the upper 80s, and we're not going to get that cool. However, we're at least headed in the right direction rather than the upper 90s. Today we'll come down a couple degrees to about 95 for an afternoon high. Sunshine all day long. Tonight, clear skies. low of about 67 degrees. And tomorrow, we're going to warm things up to 93. Friday looking even better. We're going to forecast a high of 91, nothing but sunshine and mostly sunny skies by early next week. The weekend, still looking about the same. Sunshine will top out in the low 90s.
It's 4:47. Happy Wednesday to you. A check of your traffic out there. Our freeways are looking good right now, but something I want to warn you about that's really close to downtown Phoenix. We've got a report of a car fire on Jefferson. It's right there, right at about 11th Street. At this point, I'm going to guess that the car fire is out, and it's probably going to be reclassified here as a disabled. But if you're getting ready to head out maybe to the downtown area and you take Jefferson in, watch out for this. Again, it's at 11th Street.
447, a look at the markets. Stocks rallied yesterday, erasing most of Monday's big losses. The Dow jumped 180 points, the NASDAQ shot up 42, and the S&P gained 24 points. They announced plans to lay off employees, close bank branches, and impose a new $5 debit card fee. But don't be fooled, because Bank of America is not struggling when it comes to profits. The company announced it made $6.2 billion in profits for their third quarter. But last year, the bank lost $7 billion in that same time period. Things aren't going so well for another big bank. Goldman Sachs lost $393 million in their third quarter. That's a bigger loss than analysts predicted, and it's the first time the bank has posted a loss since 2008, despite the recession.
Well, it is home to high rises and high rollers. New York City is at the top of the list for having the most super rich residents. A new study found that of the nearly 58,000 Americans worth at least $30 million, 13% of the super rich live in the Big Apple. It's about 7,700 mega millionaires. Trailing in second is Los Angeles, followed by San Francisco, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. Southwest Airlines and the subsidiary AirTran are hoping people will want to get away with a new sale. The fares are based on how far the customer is flying. Folks must book by the end of the day tomorrow. So here's a look at the price breakdown. Flights 4 to 50 miles or less are on sale for $35 each way. Not bad. Flights between 451 and 1,000 miles are $65 each way. The cost jumps to $95 for flights between 1,000 and 1,500 miles. Anything more than that is $125 each. All right. Expect to spend an extra penny to mail a letter next year. A stamp is going up by 1 cent. Starting January 22nd, a first-class letter will cost 45 cents to mail. There hasn't been a forever stamp rate hike in more than 2.5 years. Postcards and international mail rates are also going up. Well, it is bad enough to get a flat, but imagine the frustration when you discover your car doesn't come with a spare. The automotive website Edmunds.com says 14% of new cars this year came with a tire repair kit instead of a spare. The idea that drivers are getting fewer flats these days and eliminating the extra tire makes the cars anywhere from 20 to 100 pounds lighter. A lighter car can translate into slightly better gas mileage and yes, less cost for the manufacturer.
Well, Motorola is going retro. It's bringing back the popular Razr phone with an Android twist. The phone company announced that the device will be available exclusively for Verizon wireless customers starting next month. The Razr was a bestseller before that iPhone came out. Speaking of iPhone, well, Apple stores across the nation will temporarily close today in honor of Steve Jobs. A memorial service for employees to celebrate the life of co-founder is scheduled for some time today. Multiple reports say those stores will close so employees can watch a webcast of the memorial. Apple is not holding any public services for Jobs, who died earlier this month of pancreatic cancer. No telling how long they'll close, but I don't think all day.
No, probably not.
Well, still got plans for today.
All right. If not, you might want to head over to the State Fair. Some folks can get in for free today. There is a catch. We'll tell you what that is coming up.
Free. Well, today is your chance to get into the State Fair free. Yeah, you heard me right. All you have to do is bring 3 non-perishable food items to the fair. The offer is good for an unlimited amount of people, but each person will need to bring 3 items to receive that discount. The deal is good from noon till 6 o'clock tonight. All of the donations to the St. Mary's Food Bank Alliance, which they are always in need out there. And I'm waiting for that maggot melt to come up in the video.
That
here.
food looks good. Still gonna have to pay for the maggot melt even when you get in free.
Oh my goodness.
You know, you tried it as well. What did you think? I'm not convinced you got any maggots. I watched the replay.
Delicious. That's all I can say.
Go to azfamily.com. Let me know what you think. Watch the replay. I think he opens the sandwich. He shows it. There's a corner where there's no maggots, and that's where you took your bite. I'm on to you, Soto.
Do you mean it wasn't evenly dispersed? What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Well, then I should ask you. How was the maggot melt?
It was awful. It was awful. And go and watch those videos. Look at my face after I tasted and look at Javier's. You just go, I'm not convinced you tried it.
Man versus food. right here.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
But what other items were there? Because you ate some other stuff.
I tried it all. I have to say, honestly, my very favorite thing was the chocolate cotton candy.
Oh, okay.
Kind of simple, not deep fried, but it was delicious.
What about you, Scotty? What do you like at the fair? You love all of it.
He loves it all.
No diet? No diet for you, brother? All right.
All right, we've got more coming up this morning on Good Morning Arizona. Stick with us. We've got more on that officer-involved shooting in Phoenix, a live report from the scene.
Plus, the coffee giant known for its dark roasted beans is going blonde, right? Wow. We'll explain coming up.
All right, plus take a look outside this morning. Gorgeous morning, 73 right now, a high of 95. Later, your full forecast also coming up on Good Morning Arizona.